Hey guys, how you doing? Today we're going to be reviewing Nobody. This is a new action film that is very reminiscent of a certain John Wick. Now, I believe it's from the same producer as John Wick, and that makes a lot of sense, obviously, if you've seen the trailers or even if you've seen the film. It's pretty obvious that this is basically a John Wick spin-off. And I'd love, in my opinion, as this is the same producer, if this was in the same John Wick universe. Like, that just makes the whole thing more interesting. But yeah, let's get into this film. Now, honestly, this film would seem pretty irrelevant. As I've just said, it's basically a John Wick type film. Very similar, obviously, as I've said. But this film rests on the cinematography, the directing, the cast, and if that's charming enough to verify that it's a needed film and it's a fun experience without you just watching it and thinking, well, I could have just watched John Wick, because John Wick for that sort of film is like the top tier. John Wick is a great film for that sort of that type of genre of action. So the question is this film necessary? And I've got to say, I love this film. I'd say absolutely yes. Yes, it is very similar to John Wick in the way that the story beats are, and obviously the action is just as great. And just, yeah, the main story, I'm not even going to go into the story because you all know it. If you've seen the trailer, you're told what it is. But the story drifts just enough out of just the John Wick story and focuses on the fact this guy has clearly had an army background, otherwise it's just unrealistic, the stuff that he's able to do. Obviously it's amplified for a film, it's not that realistic, but it gives reasoning as to why he can do what he can do. But that's where it differs from John Wick. John Wick is like this old legend, like this guy, if you mess with him, it's bad for you. Like, with this character, I forget the main character's, the actor's name, but he is literally just someone that was very high up in the army that retired to start a family. And it's a good little change from the John Wick storyline, and it's a bit fresh, and it's fresh for this film. And it allows us to, feel more tense in certain action scenes because he isn't as overpowered and great as John Wick is. He is literally a guy who hasn't done this in a very long time, a dad, and he's lost his mojo. And there's obviously a scene that you see in the trailer where these people rob his house and he freezes. And it really gets to him, and everyone is getting on his case about this. Like, I would have done this, I would have done that, why didn't you take a swing? And you see this building up in the actor's performance, and I'm so annoyed that I've got the main actor's name, but he does a great job of showing this build up, this anger inside of him, and he wants to get back into that old life, and it's a really good progression. Now, as the villain goes, it's literally as generic as it could get. This villain is practically the villain from John Wick in the first film. It's literally the same thing. Exactly the same. Whereas the film's plot differs just enough for you to care. This is the bit that almost pulls you out of it, because the villain in John Wick, the guy that kills John Wick's dog, is this main massive head of an organisation. That's the exact same thing here. This guy messes with him in the bus in this film, and guess what? His dad's the head of this massive organisation. So it is very similar in regards to that. But I'm willing to let that pass because the action is just that great, and for this sort of film, you don't need the most complex villain. You really don't. It would have been nice if it wasn't beat for beat John Wick's villain. That would have been nice, but I'm willing to look past it because I had such a fun time with this film. Now, in my opinion, this film's paced very well. There's not one bit where I'm bored. From literally the opening, tells you everything you need to know. shows you how repetitive this guy's life is, shows you how boring it's getting, and that's another thing. The cinematography in this film is one of the best for an action film I've seen in a very long time. It probably rivals the cinematography in John Wick. Maybe not for the action. The action is about the same. As I said, I believe the same people worked on the action. But cinematography and just general scenes are done where we're seeing this guy's boring life, but the cinematography still finds a way to make it look creative and interesting, which I can really appreciate. Now, one thing that kind of pulls you out, as stupid as this sounds, there is suspension of disbelief, and some stuff can get a bit too stupid and ridiculous and pull you out of it. Now, they set up this old army friend from the main characters, the dad's past, and you can see him setting it up, and I was not surprised when he showed up at the end to help out. But when you've got like 30 plus people from this Russian mafia, and you've got the dad, the main character, his army friend, and his like 90-year-old dad taking on 35 like Russian like mafia people, it does get to a point where it's very, very hard to believe. So yeah, that almost pulls you out of it. At least it did for me a little bit. But obviously, it's really cool to see these three take on all of these people. And it's, as I say, it's still very, very entertaining. But there are little choices that they make that sort of pull you out of it a little bit. But not enough for me to not enjoy this film. So yeah, that's the only thing that is a bit weird. But everything else, I have no complaints. Obviously, the only two points that could have been a little better is the villain and the sort of unrealistic of this 90-year-old man, you know, killing 30 plus Russian people. Like, I just, something about that, but that is nothing compared to the rest of this film. It's literally just nitpicking at this point. So yeah, I'm going to give Nobody a 9 out of 10. For this sort of film, it is very, very good. Now, obviously, I'm fresh off watching this film, so maybe over time it will change. Maybe I think it's just an 8 out of 10. But honestly, this film had a lot of charm, great cinematography, great directing, action scenes were amazing. And yeah, I've really got only nitpicky like complaints. So yeah, that's what I think of Nobody. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.